So Jay texts me a couple hours ago, tells me that Carrie Fisher died.
Yeah, I think we were all pretty shocked to hear that. I mean, she was in the hospital for most of the weekend. But, you know.
I have a very deep love in my heart, distant kind of fan love in my heart for her, because she was my first on-screen crush, and it wasn't when I first saw her, it was like years later.
I really think that, you need to keep the families in mind when something tragic like this happens. I mean, probably isn't really family much anymore, but Joey Buttafuoco's probably really torn up. I mean, he was with her when she was 17.
No, Jay. No, Carrie Fisher isn't the one that messed around with Joey Buttafuoco. You're thinking of Amy Fisher.
Oh, shit.
The adult movie actress.
No wonder this didn't match up, man. I was like, what the hell? Her age is totally off.
Yeah, the whole world doesn't care if Amy Fisher dies. If Amy Fisher dies, the whole world isn't going to stop and do a podcast.
Oh.
No,
okay. Yeah.
Carrie Fisher.
Oh,
no, Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher was Princess Leia, and she passed away today, leaving behind Gary Fisher, who we follow very closely and we have for a while. Gary Fisher, since I met Carrie Fisher last summer, we've been following Gary Fisher. Because last weekend I was at Wizard World Chicago, and I was walking into the green room, and walking out of the green room was a very famous woman and her dog. And I looked at her and I said, "Good morning, Princess Leia." And she looked, and Carrie Fisher looked at me and she said, "Aren't you a little fat for a stormtrooper?" When the book came out, I heard some excerpts from it, and I said, wow, this chick is not holding back. And then I bought the book, the unabridged version, and we're going to have a link below. If you're an Android user, we're going to play an excerpt right now. What you're about to hear is George Lucas's 32nd birthday party. It was the first week of filming on the set. And you're going to hear Carrie Fisher's very first time hooking up with Han Solo. But the catch is, the guys in the crew roofie her. And literally, this is like a 20-minute story I narrowed down to 5 minutes. I took all the dirt out. If you want to hear the really nasty stuff, I gave you the basics.
On one of the first Friday nights after filming began, a party was organized to celebrate George Lucas's 32nd birthday. It was billed as a surprise party, though I'd be surprised if he was actually surprised by it. And even if he was, you never knew with George. He really wasn't into facial expressions, much like Darth Vader and various and sundry robots, stormtroopers, and Ewoks. The festivities took place in a medium-sized, uncluttered room adjacent to the cafeteria at Elstree Studios. Most of the assembled crowd was made up of the crew. This cafeteria was a biggish, blank sort of place, inscrutable, impassive, without affect, the better that you might concentrate on what you were ingesting, which would have been chips, dips, carrots, celery, and pretzels. And next to the table, boasting this decidedly less than exciting spread, was everybody's destination, the bar. Not having located George yet, I tried to look as unconcerned and blasé as possible as I slowly sauntered barward. "Could I have a Coke with ice, please? In as big a glass as you've got?" Oh, yeah, that's right. We're in England. There's no ice here. Okay, then. Warm Coke it is. And then there was Harrison at the door. Wow, he really looked thrilled to be there. It could happen, though, I thought. This could be the night that he smiles. I waved as I brought my warm cola to my lips, hoping it wasn't that warm. Harrison raised his hand in a gesture intended as a greeting and began making his way through the assembled group that was every minute growing larger. We all banded together and sang a hideous version of Happy Birthday, after which Harrison began a conversation with George. I was once again surrounded by a musty, sweat-scented, denim and t-shirt-clad crowd of heterosexual men. They kept pushing for me to have a drink, and finally the people-pleaser in me took over, and I agreed to let one of the crew get me one. At some point, I realized my head was hurting. But not hurting exactly, it just felt different than it usually did, which I mentioned. "You need to get some air," one of the crew said. "Well, isn't there air in here?" I said. "What have I been breathing then?" "Hey!" a new voice called out as I was being steered toward an available door by a few of the friendlier sparks. The sparks were sparking to me, weren't they? We were just about to pass through the door when I heard that voice again. An American one, not British. A Yankee voice. "Where are you taking her?" "Nowhere, man. The lady just wants to get a little air is all." "Pardon me, but the lady doesn't seem to be very aware of what she wants." Then I knew who it was. Harrison! My co-star! What was he saying? I didn't know what I wanted? That might have been true, but when did he become the expert on what I did or didn't want? The crew pulled, Harrison pushed back. I tried to stay in focus. What began as a kind of pretend stage fight, tug of war, transformed into a more earnest battle for a woman's, what's the word? Maidenhood! No, virtue! Once I could wrap what remained of my mind around who was involved in this tug of war, I gradually came to realize who it was that I wanted to win. My co-star, the smuggler, the one with the scar on his chin, the dialogue in his head, and the gun in his belt. Not now, just when in character, but still. I felt the gun was implied. And so must of the crew, because after a mad scuffle, which left Harrison kind of limping, Mr. Ford threw my virtue and me into the back seat of his studio car and commanded the driver to go. Go! We went, followed on foot for the briefest but boldest of times by the film set crew, the finest of men.
All right. So, interesting thing, Harrison Ford probably didn't know that she was roofied. He probably thought she was drunk, right?
My bet he did it.
I mean, she gets all woozy on her first drink. That's a roofie. That's a Bill Cosby.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end where she says those British gentlemen are the best men ever, I mean, obviously that's sarcasm.
It was the 70s. Everything was icky and dirty.
Yeah, well, the guys were creepy, and they probably wouldn't go to jail for something like that.
She said some weird things. Her description of people in that party was very specific.
Yeah.
But almost bizarre. She mentions that all the men are heterosexual.
Well, she was very attracted to all the men. I cut that out.
Okay, because I'm like...
No, yeah, there's a lot. I cut out a lot of stuff that would make you go, oh. All I did here was give you the skeleton of the story. But
gotcha.
When you really hear the whole evening, it's a much different, dirtier, she had one drink and she's walking out the door, but some creepy stuff happens in between.
So you basically did like a CNN on us.
Yeah, and
you gave us the
yeah.
You gave us the spin and the direction you needed it to go.
My spin on this, yeah. But Harrison Ford is not involved in the creepiness at all. He's
he did something stellar. I mean,
it's like a
he
movie.
fell right into character. He swooped in like Jack Sparrow. Showed his Wookiee, and off she went.
Bam.
That was the end of it.
Bam. So I would say that Star Wars was the only toy I ever cared about. I remember one Christmas, my rich aunt got my brother and I every single thing Star Wars sold.
Holy shit.
And how did we know that before Christmas is... My cousins took us into their mom's closet, opened up the closet, and the whole top shelf was like the Millennium Falcon, the X-Wing fighter, TIE fighter, the robot droid building, and all these characters just like a few $100s in Star Wars. Then my cousin said, yeah, but you guys don't get them because your dad said no. Motherfucker.
It's against his religion. He can't have it.
Yeah. And Princess Leia was in that pile of characters. It was a lot. What do you remember the first time you saw Star Wars in the theater?
Yeah, it was the first movie I ever saw. Fucking awesome.
Who were you with?
My dad. We went to
Crystal Lake 14, but it was Crystal Lake 4.
Woodfield Mall.
Oh.
Back when they actually had a theater over there.
Yeah, I remember going there.
And I remember standing in the rain, which is weird in Chicago. I don't remember when it released. It must have...
It released May 25th, 1977, which is my...
Oh, that's right. We went for my mom's birthday. My mom's birthday is May 25th, so that's when we went. And the line was like wrapped around the building. We were outside and stuff. It was horrible.
But Jim is into it. He's texted me a couple minutes ago telling me to get the free Princess Leia card on the Topps app, which is everybody gets a commemorative card when anyone from the Star Wars family dies.
All right, we really like that app. That app's my favorite. It pixels well.
Well, if you guys are Star Wars fans and you're listening to this, like Princess Leia, and it's today or tomorrow within the first 24 hours of her death, you can go play the Star Wars app, go to the Star Wars store right away, and there's going to be a free card waiting for you. It's the Princess Leia commemorative card. And they had one for Count Dooku when he died. And I didn't even open up the app probably when R2-D2 died.
Beep, 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 beep. With the trash can lid on his head. Tupperware bowl, that's what it was. Hey, did he play the same... Was he still Chewbacca in the new movie, or they find the replacement?
No, it's always him. But he can't do all the walking stuff. All right, so I met Kenny Baker at one of the many cons that we go to, and I'm standing out in the area where the non-general public is not standing in a place where you can smoke. And I go outside the door, I go to the little area, and I look there, and Kenny Baker is standing there with a big duffel bag as big as him. Now, Peter Mayhew is 7'2". Kenny Baker is 3'8", and he's smoking Winston Gold. Probably couldn't.
Nice.
Probably got off the plane, got his own pack of cigarettes. And I was trying all day to find a memento, like a good souvenir to buy for the day. And then I realized Kenny Baker is the best souvenir I could take. He'll totally fit in that duffel bag of his. And then you see 3 days later Kenny Baker walking around in his underwear painted like R2-D2 going beep boop beep boop in my 600 square foot treehouse.
And then you see 3 days later Kenny Baker walking around in his underwear. I was trying all day to find
And then the SWAT team shows up and saves Kenny Baker, and he's painted white in clown makeup with all the little
He's got like a plastic bowl on his head.
Yeah, and I got a yellow plastic bowl with marker, and he's walking around in his underwear.
It's Tupperware.
Yeah, and I let him take a cigarette break every 20 minutes, and after a while we become friends. So then I thought, no, maybe I'll just go.
Stockholm Syndrome.
I figured I'll just talk to Peter Mayhew again. So, I talked to Peter Mayhew, and he remembered me when I came back. That was totally interesting.
Hey, you're that fat kid.
No, he said something in reference to our conversation, and then I asked him how he was doing on his health, and he said I grew 1.5 inches on my left leg, or his right leg, I couldn't remember which. But he grew, 3/4 of an inch, that's what it was. So here he is credited with being in The Force Awakens. So that could be for the standing shots, but I don't think he's doing the walking shots. All the walking shots have to be somebody else.
No, because Chewbacca would just end up walking in the circle, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, Peter Mayhew's, without his cane, would probably walk in a circle.
I've been actually posting to Gary Fisher because I know that's Carrie Fisher, and I know that the movie studios take care of her real Twitter account with her name, and she does Gary. So there's only like 399 people today subscribed to Gary Fisher on Twitter. But I've been texting her all week and, hoping that her mom knows what Twitter is. Debbie Reynolds.
You think she might be related to Burt Reynolds?
No, you're thinking of That Girl or The Flying Nun.
Oh.
Burt, another person I met at the conventions.
Oh, yeah.
At the conventions, Live Metal Puppets is, and really it's the umbrella company, Live Nude Puppets is the bottom of the autograph pile. And then while you're at the bottom of the autograph pile, you pass by the top of the autograph pile and the middle of the autograph piles, and like your Burt Reynolds and your Carrie Fisher and your William Shatner, who I'm surprised to find out also had some type of relationship at some point with Carrie Fisher.
Well, of course, Captain Kirk. I mean, crossover episode, you could totally do that.
I don't know. I don't think it would go good. William Shatner posted a picture of him and Carrie a couple days ago when she had a heart attack. And the only reason why I got it is because I follow Carrie and Gary Fisher closely on Twitter. So I'm like, damn, he dated her too? But I remember I got in trouble for drawing like inappropriate pictures in third grade of Star Wars. So, anyways, I just wanted to take a minute to remember this woman who I thought was the greatest. The next girl that I had a crush on looked just like the first one, and they've just been Princess Leia's ever since, just changing to a different Princess Leia every 5 years.
Did she have the cinnamon rolls like the one in Hardware Wars?
And that brings us to tonight's play along.
That was my segue, dude.
That was beautiful. You know what? Most young people have never heard of Hardware Wars and don't understand that it was almost the same phenomena as Star Wars.
It was about the first actual satire you could find that was commercially put out at that time.
And I saw it for the first time in school. Where'd you see it?
We found it as a trailer at the tail end of a movie at a VHS tape from a rental company.
Oh.
Isn't that weird?
That must have been many years later.
It was I want to say Hardware Wars came out in 83.
Okay, isn't there a toaster instead of like a robot or something?
Yeah. One of the spaceships is a toaster, and then you had the tractor beam, but it's a guy riding a tractor.
And then Princess Leia just has like bread on the side of her head, like buns, right?
Yeah, they were sweet rolls. They were like rolled, tightly rolled bread.
Okay.
You had the cruiser thing at the very beginning where he's jetting around in the desert.
I don't remember.
Hardware Wars, you got him in like a little dune buggy. He's kind of cruising around.
I don't remember, but I have the link, and it's going to be posted below. Jay got the link earlier. I'm going to put it in the show notes, and it's going to be on the play along. And all you got to do is click on livenudepuppets.com, click on play along at the top bar right across underneath our name, and it'll take you directly to Hardware Wars. I think if you didn't see it, you're going to enjoy it. And if you haven't seen it in 30 years like me, I think we're going to enjoy it.
Dear Santa, and Jesus, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Please help all the listeners to subscribe and share my Daddy and Uncle Jay's podcast. They love to share awesome bands with the world. And please teach Daddy to be funny and stop swearing so much, especially Uncle Jay. He smells like whiskey and Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. Please subscribe and share my Daddy and Uncle Jay's podcast.